going on, guys? It's Dan here. Welcome to a long-awaited DanQ review Super Show. It's been a while since I've done my last one. I think the last game I reviewed was Crisis 3, believe it or not. And that's because March was quite the crazy little month for releases. I had tons on my plate, not to mention the full-time job. It was basically like gaming season in March. There's so much to do. Hell, I'm still doing games, which is why all the games I've started or I'm doing in March, I'm still doing now, and I don't have them all yet. I have a total of 5 games to review today, and I'm only doing 5. I have a total of 7 technically. Well, 8 if you want to get fully technical. We'll see on that last one, but just because I'm not 100% done everything in the game, for example, well, God of War I'm not done yet, and Gears of War I just finished, but I'd rather keep those two together. But anyway, so I have 5 games to show you today. I'm going to do my best to keep it as short as possible. Having 5 games to review is going to be a lot tougher, but I'm going to try and keep my answers brief, or my explanations brief, and therefore give you guys a quick, to-the-point review show today. So let's start off with the first game. It released like in the first week of March, and that is Tomb Raider, the reboot into the Tomb Raider series, which I've always been a big fan of. So let's begin this with a brief summary on the game. Tomb Raider is available on PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and PC. It is an action-adventure platform game developed by Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix, or Enix, however you want to say their name. I don't know, there's many different ways. So what do I have to say about Tomb Raider? Like I said, I've been a fan of Tomb Raider, but this is more like a prequel, basically where Laura got her start. And people would like constantly shit on me for saying Laura, and it's also Laura, whatever you want to say. Don't believe me. Play the damn game. They say it Laura, like not just Laura, but Laura as well. There's 2 different pronunciations. It depends where you're from, but since she's British and it's the British pronunciation, it's technically Lara. Okay, I'll call her Lara just so everyone will calm the hell down. Anyways, this game, what I like the most about it, there's a lot of things I really like about it. The gameplay elements itself, the gameplay in this game are unbelievable. I love the little attention to detail that make this game really what they say a survivor-based game. That's what this is all about, you know, throwing Laura into like this new environment that she's never been to before. She's always been like someone who is trying to follow the family name and you know, look for these relics and rare items that are only heard of through myth and story. And you know, just basically what she's known for, except she never has really tracked into something like this before. She's basically going in blind. So she is forced to learn new abilities and methods to get by, to survive, like being forced to kill and being forced to hunt for food, and to be forced to map the area, know the area surroundings, being able to climb and use new weapons and abilities, things like that. The character progression is unbelievable. Okay, now in terms of gameplay, I'd like to mention platforming. That is one of the main things. Hell, that's the genre. It's part of the genre, platforming. This game does it very well and realistically. So every single platforming moment in the game is like completely realistic. For example, say you're climbing you're jumping up. There's one scene where there's a crashed airplane, and basically Lara has to climb up the plane and jump across to the other side. And as it's going, the plane is kind of starting to shift because it's very delicate and in a very precarious position. So as Lara like transfers locations or from one cliff to another, things become unstable. So for example, you might be prompted to she's about to fall off, so you have to hit a button to get her to re-grip or whatever. The movements are just very realistic, and it just made me feel like, oh my god, don't screw up because you're gonna get owned, you know? Because it's like, even the death scenes were quite brutal, I gotta say. Like, even the transitions from cutscene to live, like you're actually playing the game, were really smooth. And hell, a few times I didn't even realize it. I'm like, oh crap, you know, I gotta keep playing again. And like I said, the death scenes are pretty brutal. So for example, I remember one moment when we were traveling, we fell from Laura's body takes up so much damage. It's ridiculous. And I feel really bad for her, I really do. But there's one moment where you kind of fall down a waterfall. And as you're going down this big water slide kind of thing, it's like a natural water slide, you have to steer your way around hazards. And there's hazards like sharp trees and like barbed wire, things like that, and wreckages, you know, things like that that could really kick your ass. And a few times, if you don't miss it, maybe a tree trunk would go right through your throat. I'm not even kidding you. There'd be some pretty crazy death scenes. But it really put in perspective the whole survival aspect of the game, which I started loving as I went on with it. Now, one of the major things that Tomb Raider is known for is the tombs and the puzzles of these tombs. Now, while they do touch on this, there are tombs and whatnot to raid, and they're more of an optional thing, ironically. You're actually supposed to be more so surviving as opposed to looking in tombs. Tombs are, like I said, are a side thing. They give you upgrades and experience and salvage, things like that, to help level up Lara. Now, the thing about this is they don't make the tombs ridiculously hard. They give you a hint, like an ability, a survivor vision or something like that. I can't remember what they call it. But they give you that ability to help give you hints as to what you're supposed to do. So they'll highlight points of interest, and therefore you can try and piece the two together. They don't give you the answer, but they put things together for you so you can kind of piece it a little better. But you don't have to use that if you don't want to. You can play on the hardest difficulties and just go to town from there. Like, you know, that's all about you. If you're a classic Tomb Raider and you love the puzzles and you love figuring things out, because it's like not thrown in your face what you're supposed to do, you don't even have to use that ability. Keep that in mind. So, something you may want to check that out, because I love it. I love the whole thing. Okay, it was unbelievable. Now, what else? How is the story behind it? The story is actually well driven, and it's not your traditional Lara Croft story. You're not, you know, there's a lot of different ways you could put the story. I don't know if you've seen, whether it be video games or movies or whatever the hell you take the story from. This one is very different. Like I said, there's like a mystic force, kind of like a god, if you will, or a goddess that's preventing people from leaving this island. And the whole thing you have to do is find a way to actually escape the island. Because if you just fly off the island, the thing is controlled by storms, and a storm will attack your method of escape, whether it be a helicopter or an airplane, therefore forcing you to crash land, or it will kill you, one or the other way. So you had to find a way to get past it and stop these storms from occurring. Not to mention the crazy, like, villagers, not so much villagers, but they're more like people who have been trapped there for a very long time, and they've kind of gone insane, developed their own cult following, and it's pretty much just a gong show of people trying to kill you here, okay? Not just mercenaries, but there's more to it than the mercenaries. So the characters are believable in that sense, and the story wasn't stupid. It made sense. It was out there, and it was different, but it wasn't ridiculous, you know what I mean? It's believable, because you've seen things like this in Tomb Raider before, and that alone makes up for it, okay? It makes sense in a Tomb Raider world, okay? Now, Laura's weapons are some of my favorite things. I love the game. I love, like, the whole feel of combat in this game. Because, like I said, Laura starts off as, like, a little, kind of a nervous girl, like, mid-20s girl. I don't know how old she is in this game, 20-something, I don't know. But anyway, and she's forced to adapt and use these weapons that she's never maybe used before, or maybe briefly in training. For example, one of my favorite weapons in the entire game is the bow. I love the bow. I love getting headshots. It's quiet, you know, you can do 1 minute, you pop like 3 heads before the first guy even clued into what's happened, and by then he's on the floor, he's dead. But there's different ways to do it too. You can get better weapons like pistols and assault rifles and, you know, shotguns. Everything that you could picture would be in there, with one of the coolest ways is upgrading Lara with makeshift abilities, like makeshift tools and equipment you can use to upgrade your weapon. And it appears so, like on the weapon, the upgrade. It's really neat. Like, as you upgrade, it does damage. But say, for example, you take a towel to get more padding on your stock of your weapon. That way there's less recoil. It's more stable. It's a more accurate weapon now. Things like that make the game really, really cool. And the whole fact that they really hit the nail on the head with everything out there. I had a lot of fun playing this single player. There's lots to do, lots of collectibles to find. Like the tombs are optional. Like I said, there's 7 of them, but that'll keep you, give you. They're not like a crazy like, am I gonna solve it? I can't figure this out. They're simple, and there's only one little puzzle just for you to do, and then once you have it, there you go. You get your reward. You know what I mean? Then you can go back to the main story, which is unbelievable. You're gonna love it if you play this game. Okay. Now, I would like to also mention Tomb Raider does have a multiplayer game mode. Does it need to be in this game? Absolutely not. In fact, the multiplayer feels kind of tacked on. It feels like a knockoff of Uncharted. It's very similar to Uncharted in that sense. I'm not kidding. And I was really bored very quickly. And I'm like, you know what? This isn't very fun. So really, I don't really want to tack on the multiplayer as part of this game because it doesn't need it. I mean, yeah, you've got your multiplayer there, but it's not that entertaining. It's simple, it's basic. There's barely any maps. There's barely any game modes. So the multiplayer of this game is quite poor, and I think it would have been better off if it didn't give you a... what it should have done was given you more like tombs or optional objectives or whatever the case would be, and removed that multiplayer. Because a lot of the times that's how it happens. They have to focus less on single player and focus on multiplayer. Even though there were 2 developing studios who actually developed multiplayer and single player, you get my point. You know what I mean? That's more money spent in one developer's studio. Okay, you get my point here? But the thing is, this game is amazing alone. It's one of the best games so far I've played this year. I think everyone should go out and get this game. Unbelievable experience. They actually did Lara Croft in a believable sense. You know, she's like a girl trying to survive, and the fact that she does overcome and she just becomes such a badass is just unbelievably fun to play. So, Tomb Raider, besides the fact that it has a crappy whoops, sorry. Oh, I'm all blurry. Hello. Thank you. Sorry, that thing likes to lose focus. Anyway, despite the fact that it had kind of a really generic multiplayer with very little options, it had one of the best single-player experiences I've played in a while. A lot of fun with this game. I recommend you guys check it out. I'm going to give Tomb Raider an 8.5 out of 10. A very strong, very good game in my opinion. I think everybody should go take a look at this game. You don't even need to play the multiplayer. That's based on single-player alone. Lots to do and a lot of fun to be had in this game. I loved it for sure, so we'll just toss that game over there for now. Okay. Next up on the list was actually a game I was super excited for just because I'm a huge fan of the show that it is based on, and that is, if you couldn't tell, The Walking Dead Survival Instinct. Okay? What is the whole premise behind Walking Dead Survival Instinct? Well, before we get into that, let me just give you the summary real quick. Walking Dead Survival Instinct is available on Xbox 360, PS3, PC, and Wii U. It is a first-person shooter which is developed by Terminal Reality and published by Activision. Now, the whole idea behind this game was really good. You know, I'm like, you play as Daryl, and Daryl's one of my favorite characters in the show. I'm sure he's a favorite character to a lot of people, but I'm just saying that now because he's such a badass. He's just like the kind of guy who can handle himself. You know what I mean? So it's already psyched that you get to play as Daryl, and the fact that you got to use his, signature crossbow. And I just saw the image, and I'm just like, you know what? Just judging from this, I really hope it's good because you know what? I'd love to play as Daryl with his kick-ass, abilities and skills that he possesses. Now, big problem. I knew it would happen, and unfortunately, it sucks that it did. But this game is crap. It sucks the monkey. I'm just gonna get it out right now. I'll just tell you right now, this game is not good. Let me tell you why. Okay. There's a few things that the biggest thing I hate is that they gave it this name, The Walking Dead Survival Instinct. Why did they just used this as a cash grab to sell a cheap and poorly developed game, all right? Now, don't get me wrong, I did have fun with this game, but there are so many things wrong with it that you just hate, This game is full retail $60, and you're probably looking at only about... How long did I play it? Probably just over 4 hours. Maybe 4.5 hours long. I'm not even kidding you. And there's no other modes. There's a single player mode and that's it. Basically 4.5 hours of gameplay of very, very repetitive zombie killing. Now, a lot of zombie games are usually that problem, but this game's different. It's not. It's based around stealth for the most part. You're not expected to just go around with a group of people. You have the ability to do that, but at the same time you don't. Now, there's optional objectives throughout each stage. Basically, you're placed in a stage and you're given an objective in that stage. For example, one objective would be, you got to find gasoline. Okay, that's your main thing. You're completely bone dry. You're gonna have to get some from this gas station. Now you can search the whole map, which isn't too large, but that whole area map, and collect like supplies, food, whatever the case would be, ammo. They're completely optional. You can also find survivors who may be holed up, and you have to do an optional mission for them. And if you do, they will join your party. But the problem is, you need to find proper vehicles to support survivors. So you have to find keys to different vehicles. You start out with a old pickup, and then you move on to like a Ranger vehicle. But these things are only 2-seaters. You know what I mean? 2-3-seaters. So you have to trade and upgrade, and eventually you get like a crossover and then an SUV and things like that. So the more vehicles you find, the more capacity. But at the same time, there's fuel effects. So meaning, if you get a big gas guzzler like a big SUV, you'll be able to see like 6 or 7 people, but you'll drain gas faster, which kind of goes into a mini game that this game likes to do, which I think is not needed. It's completely tacked on. It just feels like so stupid. But basically, when you're traveling from point A to point B, so one area to another, so one town to another town, you are basically given choices. You can take the back roads, which are like country roads, dirt roads. You can take regular streets, or you can take the highways. And each choice changes your chances at something. So for example, if you go with dirt roads, you'll find a hell of a lot of supplies if you break down. And also, but at the same time, it also burns your fuel like crazy, because you're doing dirt roads. They're not as smooth. They're not highway speeds. You know what I mean? So you burn more gas. It just makes sense. But at the same, and so therefore, the more gas you burn, you may not get to your location without stopping to find fuel. You know what I mean? So when that happens, I'll just finish up here. But the streets is kind of in the middle. You won't break down. Your average chance of breakdown, average chance of finding supplies. And then you have your highway, which you have low chance of finding supplies, but you less chance of breaking down, or higher chance of breaking down, but you'll use less fuel. You know what I mean? There's different, depending. It just makes sense, okay? It makes sense. So if in the event that you run out of gas or your vehicle breaks down, you're basically thrown into a mini area. There's maybe 3 different ones, but you'll get the same one many times if you choose the wrong road or you don't have enough fuel to make the trip. Basically, you're given just a random street, not that big. You gotta look like it's basically a mini game. You don't have to do anything special. It is what it is, but it's a small bonus area just to find supplies like gas if you need it, or find the proper part to repair the vehicle if the vehicle breaks down, and a whole bunch of things. It was so tacked on. I was bored out of my mind trying to just find it. Eventually, I'm like, okay, the zombies keep respawning. What's the point of killing them all? So I basically just ran around, picked up what I needed, and got the hell out of there. Because, they do come at you if you make a lot of noise or you're shining a flashlight in their face. But really, you're just wasting time. And sometimes you'll find the right amount of gas, but then all of a sudden you realize, oh crap, I don't have enough gas. I still don't have enough gas to make it here. So basically the game tells you, oh, you have enough gas, that's enough for now. Enough for what? 5 minutes of driving? I break down again? I broke down like 4 times on one trip. Sometimes you don't break down at all, and you don't have to stop. You just go right to your next level. But these little mini games, since they're all the same, these little stops, they weren't needed, and they just took up time, and it was total filler. Total filler. Considering it took me just over 4 hours, 4 hours, 15 minutes, something like that, to beat this game. And you have moments like this that took up time. How long is the actual story mode? How long is the actual storyline? Really, it got really, really repetitive, and it drove me crazy. Another thing, I want to mention the combat. Now, while it is cool that the zombies respond, however realistically a zombie would respond, to light, sound, smell, that sort of thing, that's all a factor, and you have to be very careful when you're taking on a area. You can go stealth, or you can go all out just shooting everybody. I didn't like doing that because it was too risky. Because like I said, they decided to make zombies respawn in this game. So they'll have new zombies, a huge pack of zombies, in a respawn in the area that you just cleaned out. So you're wasting your ammo since ammo is scarce. Okay? So another big problem with that scarce ammo crap is, yeah, like you can use all the ammo in the world. God damn, I just keep dropping stuff. And, am I back? Am I back? Yeah, I'm back. Okay. And you can use all your ammo. You're out of ammo. You've alerted the horde, and every single zombie's coming to get you. Don't get me wrong. You can use a few loopholes, like jump up on a table or something, and then the zombies can't even get you because they're stupid. But the game mechanics are really, really poor. They're really, really basic. It was very, very cheaply made. You can just totally tell just by looking at the game. The idea was there, but the execution was just like terrible. Like no effort. No time really put into this game. You could tell it was quickly made just because it was tied in with the show. I don't know. This game didn't really... No, the Season 3 had already started. But I'm wondering if they made it to kind of, improve. They realized how well Walking Dead is doing as a show. Let's make a game out of it. Like, actually licensed by the AMC show, not the comic books, which is what The Walking Dead, the point-and-click game that we played in 2012, was all about. But you know what I mean. And, sorry, let me touch back to the combat. I'm jumping around. But anyway, the biggest thing with combat, when in the first maybe 3/4 of the game, you are not even given, you're not even given his crossbow. You find different weapons, like, you have a knife, a machete, hatchet, a hammer, sledgehammer, fire axe, things like that. And they also do different damage, different reach. They do different. They have different speed. And it's very, very. I like that part because I found different weapons that I was good at. But like I said, you don't get the crossbow until you're like 3/4 done or more. What the hell? And once you get that crossbow, then it gets fun. Because you could take out zombies from afar and just pop domes. I got so good at the damn game that I just started going pa-ting, 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 and then like retrieving my bolts, sorry. And then I would, if any other ones, I abused the game's mechanics to basically what I would do is I would shove the zombie, that's a move, you can shove them, and they'll lose their balance, and while they're losing balance, just zip around them, do the execution kill, which is like a flank kill from behind. One shot, one kill. Because if you're attacking a guy with a melee weapon from the front, it usually takes 3 to 4 hits just to kill him. And if you have like 6 zombies on you, that's not going to happen. So you have to risk using your shotgun or whatever to clean house, thus alerting the horde. You see what I'm saying? The fact that it takes 3 or 4 hits with a sharp object to a zombie's face, yes, their face, that's not realistic at all. Like, you think that everyone just stabs a guy in the head, they're done. You shouldn't have to flank them. And the fact that the game was ridiculously short, it had no real substance, not much of a storyline. I mean, yeah, Norman Reedus and, who's the other guy again? I can't remember. It should say. Norman Reedus is basically Daryl, the guy who voices Daryl in this game and who plays Daryl in the show. And I can't remember the guy who plays Merle, but they're both in here. But Merle's barely with you. Nobody's ever with you. You go in by yourself. There's no one to help you out if you get screwed. You send them out to collect supplies, and they have a success rate depending how many people are going out to do these side missions. Like before you enter an area, you're basically given, okay, you're going this way, you're going to collect fuel. You're going to get food. You're going to get ammo. And the more people you send out, the higher chance that they'll make it back okay. Because there's more people there to watch their backs. You see what I'm saying? But if you have one guy, you can kill him off and he's done. Not that they really bring back much ammo, supplies, or anything anyway, so it's kind of useless. It would have made more sense if they were able to come with you as a group. That way you could kill more people. Or if they made this game co-op, that'd be better. But really, it was just... It was crap, man. I was really disappointed. Like I said, there were some moments when I had fun. Once I figured out how to abuse the system, pop, pop, pop with the crossbow, then go up and stab them. I honestly, to a point, I stopped sneaking and I was just sprinting everywhere. I actually got lost in one area and I didn't realize that you could hop over a barricade. So I basically was looking in the whole area map of that one section, and I literally sprinting around, stab, pop, pop, running at full speed. The zombies were coming. Just shooting them off, stabbing them, like, from behind. Like, honestly, they couldn't touch me. It was ridiculously easy at that point. And you could up the difficulty, I'm sure. But what's the point with a game like this, So let's recap. While the game may have been somewhat cool in some aspects, the fact that it's Walking Dead. You get to play as one of your favorite, well, at least one of my favorite characters in the show, and the fact that it is him. The fact that you can, the atmosphere, I guess, is pretty cool. The idea, because of the survival aspect, that is cool. The idea is cool. I'll give you that, and I mentioned that first. The idea is there. The whole fact that you got to survive. It feels like you're actually in a zombie apocalypse, not like a game like Left 4 Dead where you're given a shitload of ammo and you're just killing everything in sight. This actually, you have to think. But on the other hand of the spectrum, you're given, what? Poor gameplay mechanics, a very short campaign with very crappy graphics. Not that that's usually a big thing for me, but when you got nothing else going for it, I kind of expect a beautiful game. So that, the fact that they just tacked on this Walking Dead brand to sell it, it's just not worth a full retail game. So what does that mean? What am I giving this game? This game was bad. I think everybody should avoid it. Don't bother wasting your money on it, because honestly, just watch the show. Watch the show, because this game does not deserve to be bought by anybody. So I'm giving The Walking Dead Survival Instinct a very pathetic 4.5 out of 10. It's got a concept. Yeah, if you're a super hardcore Walking Dead fan, you may want to play this, but you won't even see any of the characters you love, except for Daryl, and maybe Merle if you like Merle. I don't know, but that's that. Walking Dead 4.5. Unfortunately, I kind of knew it was going to be set up for crap, but I had high hopes, you know what I mean? I crossed my fingers. I prayed that I'd be getting a good game, but unfortunately, not so much with this guy. So that's another one in the crapper, if you will. All right, guys, next game. We're almost there. Well, no, we're getting to halfway. This next game, I'll just show you. This next game was the first Wii U exclusive game in a long time. The first Wii U game I've actually played since Super Mario, New Super Mario Bros. U, and that is Lego City Undercover. Now, before we get into it, let's start with the summary. Alright, Lego City Undercover is available on the Wii U exclusively. It is an action-adventure and open-world game developed by TT Fusion, which is Traveler's Tales Fusion, and published by Nintendo. So, what can we say about Lego City Undercover? This game is a little gem. I love this game just because of what it is, okay? Oh, it's still in my Wii U. Normally I take them out, but whatever. Anyway, what I love about this game is it's got entertainment for everybody. This game is constantly cracking jokes, making parodies of this, references to this, and it's so delightfully quirky that it just makes you laugh every time. The storyline itself is new, it's original, and it's fun to play. This game really is GTA, except for a PG audience. Like, the fact that it's big, it really does feel like GTA. The map is gigantic. It's literally a good-sized open world, making the Lego Lord of the Rings like Shadow in comparison to this guy. I'm not even kidding you. This game is huge, and you can play it many different vehicles you can drive. You can change the color of it. It's very, very, very simple. That's what I love about it. Lego games are always so simple and fun. I don't know how else to explain it. So the story behind it is also really cool too. I mean, it's funny though, because you don't expect much from a Lego game. But this is an original story. It's not based off of a movie or a series. It's based off of their own ideas about this, kick-ass cop who was out of town for a while, had to come back to send his arch nemesis back to prison since he managed to escape. Because, you'll see a lot of crap in there, man. It's really funny. And during this whole thing, you get some really crazy maps. Like, there's one where you're sent up to, work in a ranger station in the boonies that reminded me of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, crazy, so much. Then you even go to the moon to stop your enemy. There's just so many different things. And using each character, there's different things, different costumes or undercover things that you have throughout the game. So you could dress up as traditional police, then there's police undercover, then you have a farmer costume, a spaceman costume, a fireman costume, what else is there? Oh, there's quite a few. Darn. There's a civilian costume, there's quite a few. I'm sorry, I can't really recall. There's a robber costume. There's tons of things to allow you to access certain doors or certain things to proceed in the game. And that whole little thing, switching on the fly, made it really, really easy and simple. And I do think that this game was probably passed up by a lot of people just because the Wii U didn't sell that well. Would this game have been a little better if it released cross-platform? Probably, and I think it could have done a little more. But believe it or not, the Wii U gamepad does actually increase the value of this game. I know that sounds kind of funny, but I had a lot of fun using the Wii U gamepad because you could hold the Wii U gamepad up, like let's pretend it's the gamepad, and you had to take photos. You had to take pictures of a suspect. So you'd hold it up to the area of where they are and take the shot. Sometimes they'd be over here, so you'd have to turn your Wii U gamepad all the way over here and take the shot. So it would be really cool how they incorporated the Wii U gamepad, and it actually worked for a change. So, and the mechanics of the game were simple, fun, and just fun, just easy to use, like simple as that. So, almost dropped this case too. That would have been funny, but anyway. This game I had a lot of fun with it. A really cool story, one of the funniest games I've played in a while. It was so fun, like so many references to cops, TV shows, music, everything like you could think of pretty much. With some really funny characters and interesting characters, whether they be your sidekick, your fellow police officers, the civilians, the criminals, your main criminal, whatever the case would be. They all have their own personality, which really makes the game that much more interesting. With a really solid story that's going to keep you going for a long time. There's a lot to do in this game. You know how you can collect gold bricks? There's 450 gold bricks to collect, whether that be finding them, doing a specific little side mission, collecting everything in a main mission, which you can replay and go back, purchasing certain vehicles, doing races. Like I said, it's like GTA for Lego, a PG version of Lego. A cat just walked right by my window for some reason. I've never seen that cat before. Anyway, so Lego City Undercover. I'm going to rate this game. I strongly recommend it. If you have a Wii U, please, for the love of God, go and get this game. I'm giving this game an 8.5 out of 10 as well. An amazing game. I think it's awesome. No matter how old you are, I strongly recommend you pick up Lego City Undercover. It's quirky, it's funny, it's fun to play. It's going to give you a lot of gameplay. And I think this game was $50 because it's a Wii game, a Nintendo game. So for $50, that's pretty damn solid. So check this game out if you got a Wii U. I definitely recommend it as one of my picks. Go get that game for sure. Okay. Oh, don't you fall. Good. Okay. So, the next game I have to review, this is going to be a quick review because of the size of the game. But I don't have a visual copy because it's not a visual game. But I am talking about Slender: The Arrival. Now, I played Slender, the first one that came out, and did a reactions kind of video series, a few series of videos where I did that, and it was met to some really high regard. And Slender did so well that they had to remake, that they made it into a legit game with beautiful graphics and a really cool idea. So basically, this is the first of like 6 episodes in a Slender-based game. I don't know when they're coming out, but I know that they're short, very quick games, very quick games with a story that kind of is pieced together. Before we get into that, let me do the summary for Slender: The Arrival. Slender is available on PC and Mac, so just PC only. It's a survival horror game developed by Parsec Productions, with some help from Blue Isle Studios, and published by Blue Isle Studios as well. Okay, so Slender: The Arrival. What's the biggest changes you can see? The visuals. Like, I'm playing this on PC maxed out. It looks really, really good, especially in comparison to its predecessor. Now, the coolest thing about this game, not only was it really cheap. If you pre-ordered it, you only had to pay like $5 and change for I only paid $5, like 5 something. It was like $5.20 something for the game because I pre-ordered it. And then they sent me an email later. Or you could buy it for $10 when the game came out. Now, the cool thing about this game, it's not just find 8 pages. There's more to it than that. It is story driven. So basically you're given a setting. The whole story behind it is kind of confusing, but it is written by the Marble Hornets group of guys. And if you don't know them, but they do a Slender-based show on YouTube. And it's a survival horror thing. It's really cool. So I was a follower of that up to a point when I kind of got a little tired of it and I stopped watching. But I understood what was going on in this in this game, just because I'm a lot of influence from that series. So Slender's back, he's being a douche, but the story really, I can't really spoil it. I don't want to spoil it, but it's how do I explain the story without spoiling it too much, really? Okay, we'll give you the gameplay in a sense. The gameplay is more realistic. There's an improvement to Slender encounters. Now, if you guys remember the Slender encounter, all you would get is a static as you were getting closer and closer to Slender, and eventually it would just like completely cloud your screen. Now there's visual effects. There's like, for example, the camera shakes and wobbles, and the lights are flickering like crazy. It makes sense, but it's improved upon. You're still able to see in different areas. Like, to be honest, the new Slender is actually like, well, I wouldn't say he's as scary because he's not as simple. You know what I mean? He doesn't pop up out of nowhere like he did in the first game, and I think that's what got people. But he does still screw with you. Now anyway, I'm going to break this game up. This game is basically set into stages, a total of, I believe, 5 different chapters. In the first chapter, you're basically introduced to Slender. You basically go to your friend's house and you find out what kind of happened to her. You break down outside of this house and you walk down and you realize something's wrong. And eventually you find out more about Slender. As you go into the woods, you then find the 8 pages like you did in the beta. And they are constantly changing, not just the page locations at each spot, but the sites change too. So there's like 3 or 4 different site layouts. So therefore you can't just say, oh, it's going to be here this time. No. There's a total of 10 different sites in each one, which switch up every time you fail, and the pages move in different locations. So you kind of have to use process of elimination and hope to God they're there. So when you actually beat it, you get that sense of satisfaction. After that, you kind of move on to a field, like a big field, which leads you to a refinery, a kind of like an old abandoned factory. And in this factory, you basically, it's kind of the same thing with collections. You have to find generators and power them up. But now you're introduced to a one of Slender's, I believe they're called pixies. That sounds kind of gay. I don't think so. What are they? Proxies, not pixies. Pixies. His pixies are, he's going to send them out. They're just going to tickle you. No. Proxies, which basically means they're people who've been succumbed to Slender. They've been like totally mind-fucked by him. And they're basically doing somewhat of his bidding, trying to attack you. So basically, one of his proxies is in there while you're trying to power up generators and find them. And the only way to repel him, or her, it's not really clear, is to basically change the flashlight mode to high beam, so like narrow and high, and blind the guy. That'll give you a chance to kind of run away and keep looking. So you're basically trying to find generators, keep your sprint like fully charged, because you get tired while looking around behind you at all times, and you'll see this guy flanking you. You'll hear him or her, and you got to be prepared for him, or else they'll attack you, and it'll slowly drain your health. And the more and more you get beat on, you'll die. So you basically got to power all these generators to turn on a lift to lift you up and out of the factory. So the whole moment of being under pressure and constantly checking behind your shoulder, and like honestly, all the time you're checking behind you. And you just gotta get her done, you know what I mean? It's like, oh my god, I gotta get there, but I'm tired, my character's tired, so you're shitting your pants. So the game does keep its scare factor with that, but it changes up the style. As you proceed, you are more so towards another section where you have to basically do a what-if scenario. You come across a video of your friend that you've been trying to find, and it's like a video recording, and you have to shut windows and doors to prevent Slender from getting in the house. You know, it changes it up, which leads to your final act, which involves trying to lure Slender into a burning building. But I'm not going to spoil too much about that. It's just the whole idea behind it. The fact that they changed things up. The graphics were improved. Now, don't get me wrong. The game's beautiful. It has a lot. The stage thing is cool. At the same time, it can be such an annoying game. I mean, the story is not long. I mean, like I said, I think I beat the game in like, let's see, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. Maybe a little longer. Maybe 2.5 hours. I'd say about 2 hours. If you know where to go and you're cooking without any failures, you can get it done in an hour. Easy. No problem. An hour. No problem there. So $5 for an hour, it depends how you look at it. $10 for an hour maybe. yes, you can replay them, but there really is no replay value. It's all the same to me. Like, I mean, you could try and beat your scores and go a little faster, but there's no real reason to replay this game, which kind of just leaves it there on the open. It's not the same like the original Slender, where they threw in like $20 mode and, you know, different things to kind of shake it up. Now, if they do that with this game, I'll try them out, of course, but it's just, it's not the same, you know what I mean? It's really quick. The story probably could have been a little more in-depth for the amount of, like, showcase we've been given, but overall it wasn't a bad game. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun playing it. I'm sure a lot of you guys liked watching my reactions. So I'm going to rate Slender The Arrival. For what you're paying and what you actually get, Slender is a decent game, not bad. If you love the Slender, if you love the whole character behind Slender and everything, you're going to like this game. But I'm going to give Slender The Arrival a 7 out of 10. Not bad, but not great. You know what I mean? I was kind of expecting a little more just because of the stuff they were giving us. You know, the amount of, like, you know, promo and this and that, showing us what could be done. I was expecting a little bit more, so that's that, though. Alright, guys, moving on to the final game. Thank God I'm getting tired of standing here. I don't know how long I've been recording, but I'm getting tired. But I'm going to try and boogie through this game. Probably one of the most anticipated games of March, the entire month of March, and that would be BioShock Infinite. Now, before we get into it, let's do the summary real fast. Oh, new page, sorry. BioShock Infinite is available on Xbox 360, PS3, and PC. It is a first-person shooter developed by Irrational Games, 2K Marin, and Human Head Studios, and published by 2K Games, okay? Cool beans? So, BioShock Infinite. Now, I mentioned this before. I've been a fan of BioShock, the first one. I hated BioShock 2. I thought it was boring. So I kind of was hoping, since that they went in a new time frame and a new direction, kind of, so to speak, we'd be given, like, a better story, and I have a little more faith in this game. So, what does that mean? Alright, well, this time the setting is completely different. Now, like the creativity behind Rapture, which is the city in BioShock 1, the very first one, Underwater City, this city kind of goes in the opposite direction. And that is Columbia. It's Columbia. The city of Columbia during the Industrial Revolution, so like the early 1900s, late to early 1900s. And this game is actually set dominantly in 1912. Okay? Now, basically, the whole premise is a city in the clouds, a city in the sky, and it's like a completely working city. Everything is hunky-dory, you know, everything's wonderful. You know, the visuals are really nice in this game. You know, just the whole city itself is like, wow, what a presentation. This game, I was worried about it. I was worried how they were going to take it and what they were going to do. But I had a blast playing this game. This game was a hell of a lot of fun. The gameplay mechanics, the ability to actually have your one arm with a weapon and the other arm using a plasmid. In this case, they would be, I just played the damn game and I don't remember what they're actually called in the game. Why don't I know? I can't believe it. You basically you have salts, which power your, I can't believe I forgot what they're called. But basically they're your powers, right? And they have like things like, you know, your electric, your electricity, your fireballs. You know, there are a few new ones like a raven attack or a crow attack where you could send crows out, and you know, just different things like that. There's a possession one where you can mind control both humans and turrets and things like that. So they kept that whole power thing alive in a different form, but it was basically the same thing. Now, the whole story behind the game, the story was absolutely brilliant. I loved how it went. Basically, you're a man who's been sent to wipe away the debts that he has by bringing a girl to these people. That's pretty much the only thing you're given. He's got a debt that he has to repay, and it makes him, like maybe he loaned money from somebody. You don't know. So you got to find this girl and basically be a bounty hunter and bring her to them, and then the debt's free. You're done. You're free and clear. That's all you're given. But as you find out, this girl holds a lot of significance to a lot of people. And I don't want to reveal too much of the story because of how clever it is and how unique it is. But this story, in a word, mind fucks you. Once you figure out how the game starts, how it ends, and I think people really gave this ending not much credit. Like, oh, the ending sucked. I hated it. I loved the ending. The ending was so cool. It made a lot of sense. The story, it all clicked. You're like, I get it. I'm a little confused because when this word infinite really comes into play once you see at the end of the game. And the whole gameplay is very smooth. There's the weapons and the powers are well distributed, so you can use them on the fly. You won't ever be like kind of stumbling to get your controls going. I had a lot of fun. It was really easy to like kill people and then continue the story in a nice flow. You know what I mean? You had very interesting characters like the main enemies, the main bosses. The levels are there. Now there's one thing that kind of hurts the game a little bit. And that is probably the fact that it is a little on the shorter side. I thought it was going to be longer. The first BioShock was mad long. But this game is... it's not bad. I think it's about 7-8 hours. 8 hours, if you could do all the side missions, which there are plenty of. You actually, now that I think about it, it is a solid length. If you're playing for 8 hours, that's your above average now. Because average used to be 8 hours, but now average is like 5, which is pretty pathetic. But... you got 8.5 up to 13 hours if you do everything and find everything in the game. Once again, the audio diaries reprise their role in giving you side facts. Except these are more these are voxophones you find. Of course, they give you little side things into locations and things that occurred, where you found them. It's really, really awesome. And I've always liked that about BioShock, how they have like those audio diaries that you can locate and basically help you understand the story a little bit better. So, this game, okay, I'm just going to highlight. The best parts about this game are the story itself was brilliant. The gameplay was really, really well done. The whole idea behind the game was really cool. Sitting in the clouds, you know, once you find out what's going on with this story, it really changes your perspective, and you find out who your actual, like, the girl is. She's on the back here, Elizabeth, and what relation she has to the whole story. It's crazy, and there's not much more that can be said about it. I'm glad they didn't put multiplayer in this game because it did not need it, honest to God. They did that in BioShock 2, and I think that kind of killed it. I think they knew that. But there is replay value. They give you another mode called 1999 mode, which is basically a reference to System Shock 2. And what that means is any choice you make will affect the outcome of the game, potentially game-ending choices. So basically you'd have to go all the way back and make a new decision. But I love this game. I think everybody should pick this one up. It was really well done. Story was awesome. One of my favorite games this year. I'm going to give BioShock Infinite a 9 out of 10. Very good game. A lot of fun to be had in this game. Great gameplay, great story. Those are the two things that really get me. When you have a really good gameplay and a really good story, it makes the game for me. And hell, I'll play that game for as long as I can. So that's it for the games for this DanQ review Super Show. I am beat. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't rush that last review too much. I feel tired now, so I gotta get I gotta sit down or get this thing edited. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I got more gameplay coming up. I also have more reviews coming up once I finish up the last few games. It's gonna be a slow couple weeks just because there's no games coming out, or no games that I really want to play until Injustice Gods Among Us releases on April 16th. I believe it's April 16th. But until then, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this review. Hope it allows you to give an idea of the games I've been playing. But until next time, guys, thanks again. Take it easy. Have a good one. And we'll see you then.